Hello and welcome to another RSQ review. Dakota and I are back, and we have a guest star this time for reading Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman. This is Jacob. Jacob, say hello. Between Two Fires. There you go. That's the cover. We don't actually own the physical book because we decided to read this because Jacob was like, "Hey, I'm reading this. We should read it all together, talk about it." We're like, "Bet." So that's what we did, and now we're here.
Yeah, Jacob's really into creepypasta and like
I don't word it like that. I'm
what's
not
the
a
official
15-year-old girl.
what's the official name of what do you call yourself?
I don't know. I'm just a fan of like horror in general. Like I really like obviously everything like Lovecraft and stuff like that.
Very nice.
I was a horror fan, as we say.
Yeah, every reader has those friends that they want to read things, but you can't get them to read things. So there was a rare eclipse that happened where Jacob has been really into horror lately, and I was like, "Hey, there's this medieval horror that I've had on the list for a little bit. If you read this, we could talk about it." And he was like, "Horror, you
Sometimes
say?"
when the two ships pass in the night, they see each other. It happens. Dakota can hopefully pull up his
My glare-filled.
beautiful glare.
It's not too bad.
I thought it was a pretty okay cover.
Really, I thought it was really good, but almost in like the minimalist style you see with like a lot of like hardcore music or like things in that like almost alt genre.
Yeah.
Kind of the more minimalist, drawing inspiration from like older types of art. I thought it was kind of cool, but I could also see like it's not as fantastical or like vibrant or graphic as some other things. But I feel like it matched the story really well too.
I was spending
I
the
don't disagree.
whole time trying to figure out who it is on the cover.
Is it supposed to be someone?
I don't know. Maybe.
Dude, not gone
Show
through my
the
head.
cover again.
We get to this point in our videos,
Show us.
Jacob, where we immediately discover things on the cover that we missed before, and it's like, damn, I must be brain dead for like not realizing.
I
Like
think
it's like
I'm
a
gonna
skull
go
knight,
with
isn't
it's
it?
all of them.
Yeah.
Because hear me out. He looks like he's praying, so it's the pastor guy, Pierre. And then it's a knight, so it's our boy Thomas. And I couldn't see it well enough to pick out a Delphine thing, but I'll just make
I don't know.
out.
We could say, you see how thin those hips are? Could be a girl.
I was thinking give more. I think it was like a vibes of
The knight.
the bad guys at the end of the reanimated.
Oh,
corpses. That's kind of the vibe I was getting.
that's a good point.
Especially when we have the scene in the middle of the book where they're at the like tournament of the night,
Yeah.
and it's like all those dead knights. That's kind of the vibe I was getting off of it.
All right. I like it. I'm emailing him right now. Who is on your cover? Tell me. Where is she?
Where is she? Yeah. Oh, we've judged the cover. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. I awkwardly paused there for a second because I had a thing I was going to say. I'm going to buy the Broken Binding special edition of it. Which
Are
is
you? It looks pretty cool.
in a week. I think it's one of those wins. It's one of those ones where the special edition cover the art embodies it really well. So I don't have a physical copy yet, but I'm going to buy it at the end of the week, next week, when it drops for £28.
I'm going to have to contemplate it. I'm going to have to look at it again. We'll see.
I think it's pretty cool. I like the book enough to do it, and I'll buy it. And then I'll say, everybody look at my cool copy.
Everybody look at what I have that's cooler than everybody else's copy.
Look how cool I am.
I'm the coolest. I'm the prettiest girl at the party.
So, Jacob, we go through 10 different categories, 10-ish, maybe there's more. And we talk about each category.
There's not.
You're welcome to disagree with us because we agree with each other
I
too
love disagreeing
much.
so much. I feel like I've already like semi-disagreed twice now. I'm feeling
Perfect.
It's feeling
anxious.
spicy.
That's
we
good.
like it.
socially awkward.
That's good. Curtis
No,
and I
it's good.
we have adapted to each other's tastes too much. So it's always nice to have an external factor.
We're symbiotic and it just doesn't work.
Dakota is Venom.
I can see that.
I prefer it's because Venom's the black one.
Well, I
That's
didn't
true.
say that.
It is February.
I didn't imply it's.
You get a lot of red going on right now, Dakota. Your water bottle in the back, your hat, your shirt.
Do you like
It's
it?
like you're matching on purpose. I love
Dude,
it.
that's crazy.
It's a cool
There are
hat.
too
Too
many
many
cutie
outfits?
patooties in this chat.
So I picked out a red shirt and then I was like, what hat matches this? And I was like,
What
Do you
matches
match your
red?
hats to your
Red.
shirts?
I have 35 hats ish. No, I have a lot more than that.
You have
I have
35
I have
hats?
like 60 hats. And so
If you have 60 hats and you're not matching, that's on purpose.
That's
at
a
that point.
point.
I have
That's a good
3
point.
racks of 10 right there. And then I have 2 more racks of 12 on my wall. And then I have like 20 that are boxed away that are too inappropriate for me to wear in public.
That's an insane amount of hats, dog.
I'm gonna steer us back to the
Sorry, dude.
book.
Yeah, I can cut some of this banter out. The
You don't have to
first
cut it out. Banter's fun.
banter's good. That's nice.
Just cut out anything that you say.
Okay.
Just like clips.
Yep.
Hard cuts. It's like every time you take a breath in.
Keep the breath.
Yeah.
First category is well-developed characters.
We should read them
The
our
characters
little...
fee.
Oh,
You're doing it. I'm doing it.
You're doing it.
Same wavelength. Doing the thing. June Lee, do the thing. The characters feel real with depth, growth, and complexity. But you could also, any of these categories, you could just vibe it. You could be like, you know what, world building, but I don't even want to talk about it. Give 0 points. Like you can, do your own thing. But we'll have Dakota start because he loves talking about the characters.
Okay, yeah. So character development, Jacob, for me, it's like a predictable point on a couple other categories we hit on. Like I often find that if the character development is done poorly, other parts of the book fall flat. Like it does. The characters are such a well-rounded or such a core part of the book that if they don't feel like they're developed well, then the book just doesn't feel well-rounded. But anyways, I for this one gave it a point, and I said that the character development was great. I thought we got a really personal look at all three of our main characters, as well as the side characters.
Yeah.
They were like Pierre's brother. I'm probably butchering the name because this whole book is like semi-French and I'm American.
Anytime a town came up, I was just like, sure, that's a real place. Oh, that bridge of blah, 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 blah. Sure.
Dude, listening to the audiobook and hearing a couple of the names, I was like, I'm 100% pronouncing all of these wrong. I'm not getting any of this right.
Yeah. It's extra bad when we read Asian themed books because my Americanized brain sees the beginning of the word, jumps to the end of the word, and tries to memorize the word and doesn't try to like sound it out in my brain at all.
No, that's reasonable.
But anyway, I gave this category a point. I don't have a lot to say. I thought the characters are really well done. I thought the whole storyline we got for what's the knight's name? Thomas. I thought him having forgiveness at the end and taking on his like most hated person's body. His whole story was very well done. As well as the gay priest. That was like as like I don't know, maybe I don't know what I want to say funny, but his story was really well done. It just you could feel his like tension of like feeling like he's disappointed his calling to like
the calling he didn't even want.
Yeah, the calling that he didn't want to in the end like being a hero and being like a person that mattered to the story. So I thought the character development was good. That's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, how were you feeling, Jacob?
I thought it was pretty great. A lot of the archetypes were phenomenal, like Matthew with his like cowardly lion almost character type, where in the beginning he's hiding outside of town. He's not really doing much for the town because he's already caught and he's like exiled. Then they run into Thomas and he's like, oh, kill this thing. And as the story goes on, like the braver and more assertive Matthew becomes. And then as his arc ends, it's just like a full development of going from the cowardly priest hiding from his father, basically, to giving up his life at the end for Delphine. I don't know if you do spoilers or not in the review.
Oh, yeah, we do spoilers here.
Okay, cool.
Heavy spoilers.
Oh, sweet. So yeah, just like the way he like goes from like petrified of everything, hanging out with these people, and like being scared of Delphine, and then like ending up dying protecting her, pulling out of the river was just such a cool like arc to his character to watch him go from like the coward to like the hero. And then also playing off that, using Matthew's death to really like push forward Delphine and Thomas was awesome. Just like how much more she became like anti-killing after he dies too. That was awesome. I thought that was very good. Tomas's story's so much fun. His character growth is great. And I also love how it doesn't just give him a happy ending per se. It gives him an ending that's like good for him as he like has grown through the book. It's not like, oh, he gets all his lands, his wife back. He's grown so much and he's found new value, new purpose.
Yeah, we're a big fan of that. We're a big fan of
It's always in.
Go ahead. I talked.
It's always interesting when we get a character that's like they have a very set mindset and a very set goal, and by the end of the book, like they could possibly have that, but their values have changed, so they like do the thing that the opposite of what they normally would have done type thing, which is kind of how he landed. And I thought the character development started off like really aggressively. Um, when one of our first scenes is Delphine's like, "Hey guys, can you help me bury my dad?" And all the
Yeah.
other guys but Tomas were like, "Hey,
You're a girl.
you're a girl and we haven't seen a girl in a long time," and it gets super awful. And Tomas is like, "Well, I'm just gonna kill all of you." And he does.
So good.
Um, but it set the tone, which we'll probably talk about later, but I feel like that kind of like already started his character development. We have this like
Absolutely.
preconceived notion of who he's going to be by who he's associated with, and he already shatters it. And he goes, "Listen, I'm just going to do my own thing. I have my goals, but these guys don't align, so I'm going to change it." Um, but like you said, everything with Pierre, I think was interesting. I honestly think Delphine might have had the least amount of character
Yeah.
development. I think her character changed because she was turning into like this like prophet angel type thing. Um, but not that her character development was bad, but I feel like Pierre and Tomasa were we really shown, and the two like the mom and dad, interestingly too, in that house they stayed in that got absolutely murdered by the stone lady. Crazy work.
But yeah, I thought they were gonna matter for a second, and then they didn't.
Dude,
They
it
did
was
matter. They just
They
got
did.
heartbreaking.
demattered. Brain mattered.
Matter is not created nor destroyed. It's just changed.
It's just obliterated across the room.
I actually felt like Delphine's character development was the most different, but maybe the most age appropriate, right? Like she was a kid and was like, it was her whole like mindset was very age appropriate. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm supposed to do something.
And it was written well enough for her age, because I feel like
Yeah.
we've read books where they try and write someone either way younger, way older, whatever it might be, and it just doesn't fit.
Yeah,
all
it just
that
doesn't
well.
land.
Yeah. But anyway, I gave it a full point as well.
You gave it
So
a point
that-
here, Jacob.
I got a point here too. I thought Delphine's character arc was more of like, instead of like an arc in her growing, it was more of like an unveiling of who she is. Because like from the get go, we know something's not normal about her. So as the book progresses, we're not necessarily watching her grow per se, but we're coming to know her almost more in like that cosmic horror sense, where it's like something outside of our understanding, something above our comprehension, and as that is unraveled in front of us. I thought that was kind of fun.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
would agree.
full point for sure.
I think this next category is where this one kind of like sets itself apart. So that's originality and creativity. Our little blurb for this one is: the story, world, or ideas feel fresh and unique. Very self-explanatory. But I feel like for this one, it's like, all right, it's you have a setting and an event that's already happened, right? So it's like historical fiction, if you will, whatever. But then the unique spin on it makes it feel like just something that hasn't really been done. Because you have like angel demon stories, you have different, oh, we're going through the plague type thing without any supernatural aspect, and now you have them like combined. You take two very simple plots, or maybe not simple, but could be common plots, and put them together, and you get something super unique. Um, so it's an easy point for me.
Yeah, me too. It felt fresh. It didn't feel like anything I've read. I mean, we've read other horror stuff and we've read other like gore and body gore stuff, and I've been like, this is mediocre. But this one did like the whole like core idea of this, I think, was very unique.
I feel like you can really tell what somebody wants to write, like pretty early on in their story, no matter what their actually like story is about. Like this person like really cared about the story they wrote, and then interweaving everything into the actual like main plot that they wanted, and using those as, instead of crutches, they're like assets type thing, as opposed to being like, I want to write something about, like, I'm gonna bring up RF Kwong again, like colonization or something like that, and then building a story around that. Your story then is now the back burner type thing, and you're trying to interweave everything around theme, I guess, or your plot that you're trying to bring. But I feel like this one does the really well. This is very story forward.
R.F. Kwong, Jacob, is our arch nemesis. She writes.
Yeah.
She's just a writer of two books that I've read both these two books. Actually, you've probably heard of Poppy War because your wife's read it.
Yeah.
She's the author of Poppy War, and I think that the other two books she wrote, Babel and Catabasis, are really poorly done. But most of the internet thinks that they are God's gift to mankind. And I love to say, who are you? And you have not read a
It
single
ain't.
book in your entire life. So
Right now, too,
I
just people
like
like getting on the internet thinking these books are amazing and they're actually the most mid piece of literature ever, but they're popular.
the story because the internet said it was good. It ain't.
That's dumb.
It's dumb.
yeah, we have really big beef with overglazed books that are like that have just picked up traction so well that they're like a snowball, and people are like, "This is the greatest book of all time." And we're
If
like,
you're not reading this, you're an idiot and will die alone.
and then we read it and we're
Oh
like,
my
"That's
God.
crazy. That was incredibly mediocre."
If this is your 5-star reads, I would hate to see what their 1-star reads are.
Those people probably don't have 1-star reads.
Everything's great. Like Marvel movie fans.
5-star.
Am I being elitist in classes right now? Yes. Am I sorry?
I big classes.
No.
So Jacob, how did you feel about the creativity?
Creativity
and
was,
originality?
I thought it was top notch. It was really, Christian cosmic horror is definitely not a topic done often. And like, I would say the past 200 years, I mean, the most popular example of like Dante's Inferno, kind of that idea of like using Christian themes and Christian history and the concept of like a horror type book. I thought it was great. The setting of the bubonic plague in France was just so much fun. It was so cool. And then adding the element of like, there's a war between heaven and earth and there's demons amongst us that are slaughtering people. Plus we're all dying from the bubonic plague is very well done because it adds like a 2-pronged story motivator of like not getting sick from the bubonic plague, but also there's literal demons in the river. Very cool. Very well done. I thought it was very original in the fact that it wasn't abstract or overly original. It wasn't something that was like cooked up in his mind, like with cool powers and worlds, and this is how we're doing it. It's let's take something real and let's take like real theological ideas from the real world and like make something fantastic from two real things. I thought that was super fun, very creative, very cool, especially like just in the now modern literature scape. It's very fun.
Yeah, something like you said, you don't see often at all. You know, we follow themes so much as society right now. Like we had the whole like vampires were in fucking everything, and then zombies were the big thing that was just in everything. So we keep following and then now it's dragons or was dragons,
And now it's sex.
Sex is the big thing, dude.
All right. So, yeah, that one's an easy win for this one. Our next category is engaging storyline. The book maintains a strong, compelling narrative that keeps you interested throughout. Were you engaged? Did you want to know what happened next? Were you like, this story has got me. It's got me good. What do you think? We'll let you kick us off with that one, Jacob. Unless you need us to talk about it first to understand what we're talking.
I was definitely bought in from like the beginning because like the idea of like brigands in a small French village is always just kind of cool. I love like all medieval type stuff. And then just watching like the stuff unveil as time went on, like the more supernatural stuff, I was just more hooked as time went on. I was very bought in. It was very compelling. Always wanted to know what happened next because there's always little breadcrumbs of like plot to keep on going. Like when he slays the beast in the river and then catches plague from that dead lady.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, what's going to happen with that?
Yeah, what's
And it was
going
just
on
fun.
here?
There's always something that like kind of keep you interested in what's going on next. There's never really like a dry part in the book, but it also didn't feel like constant action. I felt like there was enough action to keep you interested, but also enough like just dramatic plot points to keep you interested.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because that's something we talk about a lot. And that's like one of our complaints in books that either move that it's usually our complaints in books that move too fast. It's like there's no moments for the characters to like sit and process thing. It's like they're fighting. They haven't stopped fighting. So how are we supposed to like process any of the emotions or anything they've learned if they're just fighting the whole time?
Yeah, our biggest gripe is the fact that they don't use travel time and they just waste that time. They're like, oh yeah, and anyway, 3 weeks went by and now we're at the town we were supposed to get to. Instead of like in this book, they're traveling is when they're like talking, and that's when a lot of their character development happens. And even something I wanted to bring up before in character development was a lot of their like own personal trials they were going through were tested on them, like through like demons at different times, like either while they were sleeping or
They
in that whole
faced
like mirage
their
scene.
inner and outer demons at the same time.
Yeah,
Their
it
demons.
was crazy. Because it was trying to like break them and stop them, and then they ended up just overcoming and everything, which was what you like to see. But like you guys said, engaging storyline. I felt,
Yeah,
the
that's
whole
another
time.
one.
The only like issue I had was the beginning we started off with that like almost grape scene, and I'm like, I don't know if if this whole book is this vibe. I don't know if this is gonna be my vibe.
Yeah, that's a
Where
bold
it's just
choice
like,
for the first like thing that happens.
but I was like, oh
Gamble.
yeah, I was like, okay, like I know it can't be about just like awful gruff men the whole time, and then he kills them all. I'm like, okay, like I'm glad I stuck around. But that was the only part I was like, I'm not sure that this is going to be the vibe I'm down for.
You know, it might have been a tactic to make the character more likable. I'll
It
start
was
this off.
definitely
Yeah,
used well, but it was like, as a reader, I was like, this is like you said, a bold way to start. I'm not sure if this is like
bold if true.
a mood read. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I gave it the point for that one.
yeah.
Um,
Sounds like we
but
all
our
did.
story end. How do we feel about our story end wrap up? This is usually satisfying ending. Conclusion feels earned and brings closure or leaves room for sequels if that is how it's meant to be. I guess I'll rip this one to start. I thought that
Hit it.
the ending was good. I mean, I don't know what else to say besides that. With the whole fact that like the Pope themselves were, I guess, body snatched, if you want to call it. He was like in a barrel and had to be like taken out. I was like, all right. And then they like confront and they're like, you know what? Actually, I'm Beelzebub. Let's it's like, wow. And you know what? A lot of people died at the end, right? But they were all necessary and like meaningful deaths, which I feel like is something super hard, or maybe not super hard to do, but it's rarely done. I feel like where a death, it's not just used for shock value or something like that. It's like, oh, this death is important for this person's character development, or this concludes this person's story arc because Pierre saves, Delphine or something like that. Um, so I was going to bring that up later on, but I didn't bring it up. But I thought the epilogue was really nice too, because we got closure I didn't know
Yeah,
that
the
we
epilogue
needed.
was good.
Yeah. So it was nice to see. It was weird at first. I'm like, I don't understand what we're doing. And then I was like, wow, okay, this is a unique way to almost show like an alternate ending, but have it be the real ending.
I probably would have rated the ending less good without the epilogue. Honestly,
Really?
Think
I,
so?
I the ending was good, but the epilogue was really good closure on all of it. Like capped all the storylines really well. So like the big final climactic battle, great. But if it just ended right there, I probably would have been like, okay, but like,
No, I agree.
but what else?
It's like, all right, it
like
blew up.
yeah, it was like it's like the big boom without like watching the dust settle. But the dust settling was done well.
How did you guys feel about Thomas going to hell?
Yeah, I didn't see that coming at all.
I was like, oh,
did not
he
expect
redeemed
that.
himself. And they're like, yeah, sorry, buddy, you're in hell anyway. Good luck.
He said,
Like, damn,
enjoy our last act, bring you to hell with us.
this was fun. You did some good things. They weren't enough. Enjoy suffering.
Have a good time in hell. Yeah, that was done
How did
really
you feel
good.
about the end?
That was done really well. What'd you think, Jacob?
I thought the end was really good, and you know what? I'm gonna actually disagree with you first.
Ooh.
I thought it could have ended without the epilogue because the scene of Thomas's revival and then heading south away from the town, I feel like would have been a good enough ambiguous ending. 'Cause I don't know, I've been reading a lot of like horror stuff, and a lot of it ends almost ambiguously. So if it was just like Delphine, we don't really know exactly who she was, what she was, but she's gone now. The demons are gone. Thomas has lived through this terrible thing, but now he's been revived and he's heading south, and the world is now back in order, and our characters are on their own paths because the story has concluded. I feel like that would have been an okay ending, but I love the epilogue. I think the epilogue was a great ending too. I'm just saying, I also think that if it didn't have the epilogue, it still would have been a good ending as well because it leaves that almost ambiguous, like,
That's a good point. Like you watch like the sunset, like the world saved, and
exactly.
the character, like in the scheme of the world, it's like the characters don't matter. The world's not going to end.
Absolutely. The characters have done what they needed to do. The story is over.
That's a good
It
point.
kind of felt like that was kind of cool. But the epilogue was great because, like, him finding Delphine again, but now as just a little girl and not the Christ figure that she was. And then him becoming a man of the vows and then meeting his wife when he's old again and her knowing who he is. Like that was still a great ending. It felt very good. It was a nice closure, almost like a happy ending for our characters, even though it wasn't like predictable happy ending per se, like him getting all his
Yeah.
lands back and his wife back. It was still a good ending for those characters. But I felt like even without the epilogue, it was a good ending because it would have been the Hannicott's story is closed. Delphine's story is closed. Tomas now goes on to continue his life as whatever he decides from there on, whether he wants to pick up a sword again or not, which obviously he doesn't because for what he does with Delphine, he's thrown off the killing.
He's a
I thought that was so
changed
good.
man.
He's a changed man.
Different.
Okay, so the next category I'm gonna open because I think you might I think we might have a disagreement there, and I'm gonna pad it because I think I understand. I'm just gonna talk. Okay, this category is world building or setting. The setting, we typically split this one in two. So the blurb is the setting is immersive and well developed, especially important for like fantasy and sci-fi. We typically look at this in two parts. Half a point for the world building, like was the world well explained? Was all of the fantastical elements explained? And the setting, is can we tell like what the landscape looks like as our characters are going through it? Do we just feel like they're moving along and we're supposed to assume, or is it like explained well? So setting, super well done. Like everywhere they went, I felt like we were in medieval France. I felt like it was like really immersive for the time period. It's always really interesting to see like the past written well because it makes you think about the amenities you have that they don't have, and you're like, dang, that's crazy. Imagine not having a fridge or a freezer when winter comes and you have no food. But one of the things I had a tough time with, and I'm like talking myself out of having a tough time with it because I think I know why. I'm just doing so much padding here. I had a hard time with the world building because I didn't feel like we really understood where anything came from or why anything was happening as far as like the fantastical elements. But the more I think about it, I feel like that's kind of classic horror. Like, is that like a lot of the time horror is done where you're not sure if it's supernatural or not. Like you're not sure if it's supernatural or if it's like in some horror movies specifically, is this actually a ghost or are they just in a scary house by themselves? Like you don't actually know if it's fantastical or not. So I think that's like what the author was doing. And so I have some like gripes about the style that like how that was done, that it falls into a different category. But I don't know if I can dock points in the world building or setting category because I think that's intentional. I think that was like done this way on purpose, but I need to hear from the two of you because I had tentatively said like maybe a half point here because I would like to have understood like the angels and demons more and their battle and like where these monsters are coming from, like all of like what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know. That's my rant. That's my soapbox. Other people talk.
Interesting. I'll let Jacob go because I have thoughts.
I also have a lot of thoughts. I'll let you go, but I can go first if you want.
Do it. Light him up.
I
Beat him
think
to
that you don't know how to read. I actually, I, I was said this in the beginning of the book, in the first half. I actually felt like his world building, like the way he talked about his like the world and actually described things outside of the dialogue and characters, was kind of weak actually in the first half of the book. It was a little clunky, a little chunky, wasn't quite as flowy. Now at the end of the book, I feel like it got a whole lot better because the world developed so much. But in the beginning, I was like, this is not quite great, but this dialogue is so good and these characters are so cool. I'm gonna stick it out. And then when you talk about like where these characters come from, or sorry, where these monsters come from, did you read the parts between the parts where it like has all the Old Testament language talking about them being in hell and making these monsters to go against man because they hate God and they're trying to get out of hell because all they do is torture God, torture people all the time, and they want to like wreak havoc on the earth. So they messed with these monsters and animals and created these terrible chimera to release on the world. Felt like that was relatively explained well. The ambiguity does come from where God is in all of it and what his part is in his action, because the whole book, it's like the angels are fighting, the demons have reign, but what's going on? I think that what part was intentional to kind of keep it open ended of like what's going on with God because something's clearly not right here. But I
Yeah,
feel like
every like little like epitaph or whatever has the different parts where like, and God has no answer or whatever. God still doesn't answer or
Right.
something like that.
It was very interesting biblical language parallels there.
I loved it. It was very well done, especially because like it was different than the writing of the book. It felt like he took a lot of time to really write the stuff out in a way that almost felt like you were reading something out of like the Old Testament or old religious scripts where it was a very harsh language. You know what I mean? Like a very like strict and dry way of talking.
Yeah, I'll let Curtis speak, but I'm partially willing to concede that small brain behavior here because it was so different than the writing of the rest of the book that I didn't
Right.
like skip over it, but it was like, what is happening? What's going
So
on?
I was like Dakota wishy-washy at first, but I am actually in the camp where again, I had no issues with the settings. I like could like movie picture it the whole time. I understood everything that was happening. I had no problem setting. I had issue with the world building because although we had the information, the epitaphs, which was well done, because then so we got like part 3, and this is, you know, the devils are doing this and the angels are trying but dying, so they're locking themselves in heaven, and then we see the ramifications in that next part. And then it would like we would get part 4, and then what's happening, and then we get the ramifications of the next part. Um, my issue was so like Dakota said with the monsters. Now I understood like why it was happening. So the devils are making these, but it just felt kind of random at times. Like so like for the big sea monster in the beginning or the river monster snake thing, they're like so they kept dumping um the eels or whatever into the river, and then eventually it just came like a super evil eel thing, and it's like okay, I guess if you want. But the biggest gripe I had was I did not like the scene though, and it was a big part, and it makes me sad that I didn't like it. Was the whole
The statue?
illusion?
Oh,
No, I like the statue a lot.
Really?
I didn't like the illusion because it didn't, in my head, make sense. Like they went through this whole thing, and at the end they're like, "Whoa, that was real." And he goes, "Well, we both dropped it, so it should have been." But like, it didn't change or affect or really do anything. It was cool, and I liked reading it, but I didn't understand why or where it came from. Like, why was there an illusion that affected both of them? We didn't really get, and as far as I'm aware, we didn't get answers to why they both shared that dream. Besides, oh, the demon made you think it, which I didn't even think they mentioned anything about like a demon being around like
there,
they did like in the farm.
there was a lot of like, I feel like there's a lot of good character development that was done in that illusion about especially their like, what's the word I'm looking for? Their vices, probably to both of them.
Yeah, it kind of reinforced their vices.
Yeah, both of them like struggling with their vices, like the priest taking communion from a monkey skull, the soldier who's like trying to battle and sleep with, and just like giving into vices. But I agree that like I don't. But that's where I was trying to like potentially write it off as like maybe this is horror. Like that feels like a really typical like it feels like a really typical horror movie or horror story kind of
Yeah, but you get
function.
lore with that. I feel like in a horror like esque thing, there's this thing happening because there's this specific baddie, like a poltergeist or whatever, blah blah blah. But with this, I feel like it was just it started somehow. And Delphine's like, I'm not going in there, and then they were trapped in this dream, and then they were out. But I don't really understand how it started and how it ended. It just did, I guess.
No, this is kind of like meta here. Do you guys ever watch that anime Ergo Proxy?
Mm-mm.
So there's a scene, there's a episode where like there's the two proxies and one of them's trying to keep the other one away because the proxies get close, they kill each other. So that like it sends one of the characters into a dream and is like basically trying to keep him away.
Mm.
When our characters first roll up on the night tournament, they roll up with that big tower, right? And it looks great. Delphine's like, no, I'm not going in that. And then they go into the tower and that starts the night tournament. And then when the sun rises, the night tournament's over. I thought, to my understanding, that the tower / something in the tower was the demon. And that was why she was averted to it, was because that was the demon. That was the problem, because whatever happened in that tower is what corrupted the original, was it Duke or something? I can't remember. Terrible names like that.
Signor,
Signor.
whatever it's called.
Yeah,
On French word.
Yeah.
That's what corrupted the original one, and that's why the tower was like shrouded in darkness and like full of demonic energy, because there was corruption in that tower. That was the demon. That was more ambiguous, but that kind of fit with that scene because it wasn't like an ambiguous scene of like dead men and vices and like what's going to kill you, and like also the dead bodies that were around them seeing what was dead. Like when there's the moly back that he wakes up to. That's what I thought about that scene, but I could 100% see what you're saying, because it does feel very ambiguous. If they roll up in this place, Delphine don't go in, they go in, and then it's over.
It
Definitely
just felt,
feels like it
yeah, it
feels like
felt,
more like an insert for character development than it felt like a monster.
I
It
was just going to
almost.
say if it
Sorry, go
almost
ahead.
went. I'm not saying nothing.
I don't. It's hard to say in hindsight. I might have had more beef with it. I almost feel like I'd have less beef with it if they didn't randomly reference it later. If they didn't say, you remember it, I remember it, so it must have been real. If it was pure ambiguity and we're like, was it a dream? Was it not a dream? We'll never know. I might have had less beef with it than it ending like, we both remember it, so therefore it's real. And it's like, okay, but why? But how? I don't know.
But it's interesting because, like, so I liked the things we got from it, like the character development devices that we talked about. But
Yeah.
like, even Delphine didn't say anything about it. They just went on their merry way afterwards. Like, damn, that was weird. Anyway, and they just like moved on. I'm like, that would have just fucked me up personally.
To the author's credit, though, that was also like early in Delphine's like understanding of her power, because this was, I believe, this was before the tree sprouts from underneath her head. Remember that scene where they're sleeping at the camp?
Yeah,
She sleeps on a stump.
I think that
this is like
happens right
also.
after.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you're right. I think it's like the literal next scene. I think it's supposed to be like she also doesn't know why she feels the way that she does, which also ends that ambiguity. But I absolutely 100% agree with what you're saying. That it seems too weird, but also
Too real.
too forward in the story
Yeah.
for it to be that ambiguous. Now, if there was something more of like an identified monster or demon in there, maybe. But I don't know. I felt like, to give the author credit, it was early enough in the book too, where it was like, what's going on in the world? Like, we know there's a river monster. Now there's spiritual warfare. But your criticisms are definitely valid in that regard. I see where you're coming from.
It is an
100%.
interesting concept to tie it to the idea of spiritual warfare.
So what are you guys giving
matches
it
the like
point-wise?
biblical parallels. So yeah, do you give me that? Are you giving this one a full point, Jacob?
I'm gonna go full point. I thought it was great.
What
I
are you
liked
doing,
it.
Dakota?
Be a man, give it a half point.
I'm giving it 0.75.
0.75. Is that allowed?
Yeah,
We just recently started doing it.
it's the like
0.66.
yeah,
2026.
it's the I'm too indecisive to give it enough of a full point or enough of a half point to actually affect my overall score. So it's going to be weirdly in the middle.
I gave it a half point.
I'm giving it 0.75.
It was just
Enough.
my main concern was that illusion one, but I feel like there was a couple of instances where I was like,
You know,
I get why, I guess, but like how I wanted more how.
I've changed my mind, and I have an explanation on why. Because too much was explained. That like I feel like we could have had a whole story where he left like a lot of supernatural ends ambiguous, that I could have been like, okay, that's just another one of the things that happened. But too much was like well explained, that when there were things that weren't well explained, it was like, what's going on? Why is this one explained, but this one's ambiguous, you know? So
I wish I had $1 for every time we said that this video is so far ambiguous. I feel like we
Whole point of
money.
horror and cosmic horror too is like ambiguity.
Yeah. And I like that.
I don't know.
Things.
I felt like there's a lot that wasn't explained too, though, because like we never learned exactly what's going on with the stone. Sorry, with the statues.
And they didn't even kill them. They just were like, and anyway, good luck, city, with these fucking weird ass chess pieces that are beating the shit out of you in the middle of the night. We're leaving. Like they saw them when they left, and they're like, yeah, this is out of our league. I really wish you did that. And then
sucks
they
to be
left.
you, deuces.
I thought they were going to at least kill one of them, and they didn't. I was like, oh, damn. Okay. Not that I'd had anything wrong with that, because it fit the story very well. They're like, this is crazy work. There's some stone demons I'm getting out. But yeah. All right. Well, we got our ratings. So you're half point then?
Yep.
There to go to?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Then Jacob's full point.
Pacing and structure. This one's a little bit tougher. I feel like, so for pacing and structure, this is another like half point for pacing, half point for structure. The book moves at a good pace without dragging or feeling rushed. In structure, we have our usual, I guess, example for this is like, it happens a lot in unedited indie books that are put out, where like you could tell they didn't really outline their book, or they outlined it like very skeletally, where they had these points they wanted to hit, and it just feels very, how do I want to describe this? Dakota, help me, I'm struggling.
Yeah, we give half point for the pacing as like, does it keep flowing? And then this half point for the structure is is it a well-structured book, like beginning, middle, end? Like books can have unique structures, but is the book itself structured to a point that's like, this book clearly moves from like point A, B, C, D? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I follow.
So I gave this book good pacing. I thought that it wasn't. I had points where I thought this was clunky, but I think that was more in the writing style, which I'll talk about later on. But I felt the pacing itself, I never felt like the characters were moving backwards in any way. I thought the story was always driven forward, the characters were always driven forward, themes were always driven forward. Um, and it didn't really feel slow. It wasn't like you said before, Jacob. It wasn't like fight, 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 fight the whole time. It was, we had fights, we had character development, and then it led into, discovery of a new thing, and then a different fight. So I thought it was good. I don't know how I feel. I don't have a note as to why. It's just off. I need to listen to what you guys say about the structure. I thought it was okay. I don't know if I have an issue with it. So I'm gonna, like, in my head, I want to give it the full point right now, but I put a question mark by it before when I made my notes initially. But I think that the structure itself was good. I think my issue was like with the like illusion thing threw me off. But yeah, I just kept talking in a circle right there. No, that made sense. But the structure was good.
Rate your structure half a point.
You're still in the circle? Go ahead. Continue to circle around the circle.
I can't. My brain just shuts off sometimes, and this is one of those moments. So I'm going to pass this one off to Jacob.
It was really good. I had no complaints with the pacing, even though I'm terribly slow reader sometimes. I still felt engaged. Pacing was definitely great. Loved all the drama. Loved all the like segues and the new stuff. And the structure, I don't have any notes on, which I almost feel like that's a good thing because it means that there wasn't anything that I was like, that doesn't make sense. But it also wasn't amazing. I'm like, oh, what a callback. It was like, oh, okay, this book is enjoyable to read and I understand what's going on. So I feel like that's almost good, almost like a good baseline where like you don't know it's there unless it's not. I guess like how the structure was in that book where like it was so like fine that like
Natural.
you didn't even notice the structure was like something to keep in mind.
That's a really good point, like when describing structure too. Like if you're noticing that there might be structure issues, then that's
a bad
if you're reading the book and you don't think about it at all, then you're fine. But if you're questioning it, then there's something wrong with your foundation there.
Yeah, I agree.
I gave it a point as well. I had another complaint. This is there's a specific complaint that we have that you'll see in two categories that is like oftentimes tough for us to parse out between this category and the category that's coming up, but it's been parsed in my head. So this category was fine. Like you said, that is something we say a lot and don't want to throw any indies under the bus, but specifically in like self-written, self-published books, the structure is something that like you can notice. And if you don't feel like it has like a clear like beginning, middle, end, you're like, we just kind of rolled around here and then the book ended. And then you're like, that's had some structural issues. But no, when you don't notice, it's great. It's like, I didn't have to think about the structure. Gave it a point here as well.
Points all around.
Points, points, points.
Boats, boats, boats.
Boats, boats, boats.
What's a nose? Dakota, it sounds like you hate indie authors.
Whoa.
There's a lot of accusations that get made of me on our videos. Basically, I'm racist and I hate indie authors.
That's crazy.
Yeah, some people comment
one of
stuff
those
and I'm
things.
like, well, how are you getting this information? Like, where are you basing this off of? And it's always at Dakota, I feel like.
Curtis is the face that sells. Curtis's videos get more views and he's inherently less racist than me somehow.
I don't know what to say. I'm
All
a
right.
people pleaser.
The next category is an easy one for me as well. Emotional impact. The book evokes strong emotions, whether joy, sadness, fear, excitement.
And I feel like it's another thing to point out too. It's and we should write it in like a little blurb, but we always talk about emotional impact for the characters and emotional impact for the reader type thing. So are the characters experiencing like actual like palpable emotions, and do I have any emotions being evoked because I'm reading this type thing? So continue, Dakota. Sorry.
Yeah, we don't typically split that into like half. It's normally like either one of those is fine. Like, can we tell that there were like real emotions that the characters experienced, or did it make me experience real emotions as a reader? And it's like, if the emotions feel manufactured, it normally loses a point or loses half a point. But
this one's one of the more subjective categories.
Yeah, but I felt like it was good. I mean, especially with Matthew and his brother, that whole arc. Their whole arc was emotional.
Pierre.
His last name was Matthew.
Yeah, Pierre.
Wait, no, his last name was Hannacott.
Where did Matthew come
Pierre
from?
Matthew,
Pierre
I think
Matthew.
his name.
This is his middle name.
Right.
Oops.
Anyway. He goes by Pierre Matthew like the entire time.
Anyway, all the emotions were good, and especially Tomas going off to war, and then he comes home and they're like, oh, he doesn't even get home. He finishes after, and he's recovering from an injury, and they're like, anyways, you're excommunicated now for sodomy. And it's like, he's like, imagine you wake up from an injury and it's like, by the way, you were excommunicated for sodomy.
And especially fighting for your country or whatever. It's like, damn, you protected the king. By the way, we took your wife, your land, your cows, everything's gone. And you're poor now as well. And also you have a hole in the side of your face where you got shot with an arrow. Good luck talking again.
Which got even sadder when it talks about his special relationship with his wife and how they have the whole,
3 clicks.
3 clicks thing.
Did you notice that every time they brought it up, they changed the meaning? There's it brought up 4 times, and every time it was brought up, it's usually brought up by Tomas. He would be like, and 3 clicks means this and blah blah, but it would be different every single time.
Yeah. I just started getting back into horror. I remember you ever seen that Barnes and Noble Barnes and Noble Necronomicon? It's just a bunch of horror short stories.
I think I have, yes.
I bought that forever ago and just kind of read it here and there because I was really into this kind of Lovecraftian stuff because it was super short. You know what I mean? They're all 30-minute stories, so it was easy to listen to. And then got into Sanderson stuff a lot because of Dakota. And then now I started reading. Oh, dude, I hate to say it, but it's so good. I loved it. Then I read a lot more. Started listening to a lot of Creepcasts. Phenomenal. I love that show. Those guys are hilarious. And got more into horror as of recently. Tried reading The Troop. Dude.
We didn't enjoy it.
Painfully mid.
It was so mediocre. And it was so hyped up on Book Talk too. And then we read it, we're like, this was the most average read I think I've ever.
It's just it didn't commit to anything very well. Because it was almost kind of body horror with the monster in the beginning. But then there was kind of the Lord of Flies aspect. But it was
just
great.
Halfway did everything. And I'm like, my wife read it too, because she wanted to read something with us, and she was like, she thought it was gross and creepy, but at the end of the day, she was like, it was okay. But she likes a lot of the thriller, serial killer-y type stuff.
I'm not a big fan of body horror in general, so I was kind of already turned off when the book was started with the body horror thing, and then I just didn't care for the characters. So I was like, these guys, I don't know. I'm also getting to the point where YA fatigue, every character is 14 or 16 and the whole story is about them being a kid, but the adults are dumb. I just tired of it. Give me cool stories and cool characters that don't fit the tropes. Just do something fun and semi-original.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of tropes that the YAs follow that it's all right, I get why it's popular, but I've read 12 of the same thing. We just read an indie book actually that was it's not considered YA. The story itself isn't YA, but the characters feel a little bit YA. But it wasn't bad at all. It's called Depths of Vanolf, and that was pretty refreshing type of read. It was a longer book, but we read it very fast. It didn't feel like it was a long book.
Depths of Vanolf.
Vanolf, yeah. There's Dakota.
I'm reading. Hello, Dakota.
Hello. So
what does Sailor do?
I would like a unicorn.
Anyways, we discussed the emotional impact and we all gave it a point.
I think so.
To jump back in.
Yeah, I don't know if we all talked about it, but I think we all thought the emotional impact was great. So, and we did talk about it. I don't remember.
True. I don't think Jacob talked about it.
I didn't talk about it. Actually, I might give it a half point.
All right.
Might be my first half point.
What?
Okay. Hear me out. I thought the emotional impact was good. I don't know. I'm semi autistic sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't hit me quite hard. I thought the Hannacott story was great. Tomas stuff was pretty good. But like the Tomas Delphine relationship in the middle of the book, I didn't quite feel. And then after the like Wraith monster gets Thomas, and then like they're just like super happy post, and it's supposed to be like this kind of like heartwarming moment of like father-daughter relationship being bonded. I was just like, this is just kind of weird. I don't know if I necessarily liked it. It didn't have the emotional impact that I felt like he was trying to go for. And the reason I would rate it a half point is because I felt like that was supposed to be such a big part of the story. It was supposed to be that like change from like Urchin following them around to Thomas's daughter in spirit. But
Yeah.
I don't know if I love the way it was handled. I don't know if I really like it. Just it almost felt rushed in a way.
Well, not only rushed, but I'll agree with you in this one instance. I'll agree with you because he goes from almost like the demon making him like sexually assault her, and then they're like, "Hey, you didn't."
You're basically
So
my
we're
dad.
so now
Exactly.
we're buddies.
Exactly. I
You
was like,
basically
this-
tried to touch me, so now you're my daughter. It's like, well, all right. Writing
So next one.
style and prose is our next one. Writing style and prose. The writing is engaging, fluid, and appropriate for the genre.
It's another
I feel like
two-parter.
this is a two-parter. This is another one of those like I talked about earlier, where like if the characters or the author is writing a character and it's just not done well, like they're trying to write a child and it just does not sound like a child at all. So we just read a book called Rust-Colored Rain. Very good book. It's a zombie horror book that I thought was very refreshing and good. I don't feel like the child was written well at all. I don't have a 6-year-old child. Did not seem like a 6-year-old child at all. My
Interesting.
thoughts.
I actually disagree, but that's a different review. I do feel like the child was written pretty well. I do feel like
I
specifically
can't tell you the last time I've even
Reeled
been
in.
around a
Reeled in.
6-year-old child. So to me, it felt
specifically
like they
every
were a
time
little
the
bit-
child was like, "You can't leave me alone. I'm 6. Don't you know anything?" That was super like realistic for my 7-year-old who's like, "You can't do this. I'm only 7."
Dang. Well, maybe I'll eat my words, but that's an example of like,
Yeah.
Whatever. I thought the writing style was super clunky in the beginning. I thought it did get better. But there were times even like middle and like 3/4 of the way where he was writing and saying things and I was like, okay, I understand I understand because of all the context clues, but what you're actually saying is a little bit just all strung together. Like you're trying to get out all these points and it's not really working. It was worse in the first quarter of the book, but I think it did get a lot better. So I gave it a half point here because it was like I feel like that would turn a lot of readers off. Just because you have a whole quarter of the book where you're like, all right, this is a little bit too clunky for me. But I felt like the prose was written really. I felt like all the characters were written really well, especially for all of their individual I guess jobs, if you want to call them. Like for a knight, he was written perfectly. Tomas, like Pierre, was written as like the reluctant priest. And Delphine is just a kid who happens to be almost a prophet. I felt like her character, even though she wasn't the most diverse, she was definitely written maybe as simple as it was, written the best with how like vague she was supposed to be with her powers. Quote unquote powers.
I have a really specific thing to say here, but I'll let Jacob go first.
Completely ditto what Curtis said. I agree with every point he made, but I would still give it a 0.75 point purely because I felt like it got so much better and the story and the dialogue was so great that like I really, really enjoyed it. I wish he would have gone back and like reworked the first quarter of the book because I liked how the last 3 quarters was done so much.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
But then again, the dialogue from the beginning is the thing that kept me hooked. Because like if it was clunky like storytelling all the way through, I think I would have like kind of given up. But like the dialogue being so good at the beginning, I was like, oh well, I can get over some like poor like world describing for the sake of hearing what this character has to say next.
The dialogue
I-
was really good for the
I
characters.
love the dialogue. But I think I agree with what Curtis said. I just give it like a 0.75 instead of a half point because I just enjoyed the dialogue so much, I think.
Very
Maybe it's
fair.
my own insecurity in writing because dialogue is hard. Dialogue's so hard to write, dude.
We give vibe
I feel
points
like
all the time, so very fair.
He wrote it so like matter of factly too, where the characters were
Yeah.
like, "Where are you from?" And he goes, "Nowhere." And you're like, "What town are you from?" Town. Like that's how people actually speak instead of the character said this in this specific way and like very, very, very descriptive, which is also different writing, but very good writing. But this was so like matter of fact, which I enjoyed that style of dialogue and also very refreshing because you really don't get that, at least now. In my day. Dakota, are you going to
Alright,
bring up
Dakota.
your point?
Yeah, so
Hit us.
matter of factly, the way that your point about matter of factly is one of the reasons I gave it a half point here, because I described this, my like analogy bumper sticker theme was that sometimes this book felt like someone describing a horror movie to a blind person, like very matter of factly, like just saying like the statue showed up at the door and it killed a couple people. Like it's just like I kind of sometimes felt like I was like sitting there listening to someone tell me like about a horror movie, and it just in the way that it was like super matter of factly. I don't know how to make it any more clear than what I've said. So if that didn't make sense, I'm sorry.
It's funny because
Fine.
you've described this to me a couple of times way more clear than you just said it right.
Dang.
But it wasn't unclear because I heard you say it before. But like, yeah, your line of this being like a horror movie described to a blind person with like, I felt like was on the nose and not in a bad way.
Yeah, it wasn't always bad. It wasn't always a bad thing, but in the way that the writing style, so the prose was good. The prose, the way that his like words, the way that his voice was done was good. But sometimes that the way the writing style was done felt a little like just too matter of factly, I think.
I liked the matter of factly. We could disagree. Just know that like Jacob and I are on the right.
I think it could have benefited with a little more flowery language, especially when it came to describing the monsters. But the matter of factly language, I felt like really fit the like terrible and dark time that it was in European history. Because like the bubonic plague was terrible and it was so like uncaring and so like matter of fact. Like it was a terrible, dark time. There wasn't like much beauty or explanation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Kind of rambling. But I also
No, I
see what you're
agree.
saying that like I feel like if they would have done more to like really sell how terrifying it was that the Stone Mother of Mary, or sorry, Stone Virgin Mary is at the door.
That was one of the most
Yeah, I could see
terrifying
that.
parts
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah,
She was a dead baby and stuff. Oh, that was
Yeah,
that was
terrifying.
maybe not the best
fucked up.
example. That was maybe not the best example for me to use because that part was done really well. But
I also felt like the jellyfish demon where Pierre Matthew dies, you know?
Yeah.
That was fun. I thought that was pretty terrifying. But no, I mean, I'd still go to 0.75 point though.
we gave it a 0.75.
Did I say
Yep.
1 point already? Am I contradicting myself?
No,
No,
you're
you
good.
said 0.75.
Okay.
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 We good.
We're good. By good, I'm right. Everybody else is wrong.
Sure, Dakota.
It's okay to feel that way.
The last category. Well, not really the last
No,
category.
it's
The
not
second
last
to last category. The third to
Oh,
last.
man.
The second to last real category. The third to last in all categories. The meaningful themes and depth. Book explores deep themes, offers insight, commentary, moral dilemmas. I think this one. I think this is going to be a slam dunk, knock out of the park, a 1 point straight across for all three of us. The themes were very well done. All the themes that were explored, the forgiveness, the price of vengeance, the price of death.
And they were like, sorry, I don't know why I interrupted.
Dude, that's crazy.
I meant to
work.
like wait in my head. I'm like, I'm going to say this in a second. I just didn't.
I'm going to say this in a second and said it in a literal second. Another theme, like you just said, Jacob, that the Black Plague was so uncaring, and the way that like it was just written as like, yeah, well, death is normal and the world sucks and there's no hope and there's no joy. Like just all the themes,
Exactly.
the themes are really well done. This is one of the ones that's often interwoven for me with character development. If the characters aren't developed well, the themes typically fall flat because you explore your themes through your characters. But anyways, I give this 1 point.
Sick.
Also give it a point. Yep. I feel like the themes were mostly pretty obvious with what the characters were going through, but not in like a bad way. Hey, this character's going through this, and then they explore it like in a deep way. The result was usually, I feel like, how do I want to say this? forced the like simple theme through like a deep medium, having them go through like the what was it, like the whole illusionist thing where they like force them to like, hey, you're in this situation where like things are being forced on you, how are you gonna handle it type thing, and they fail, but later on they overcome them type thing, like the drinking or the Thomas's rage and like ego and everything like that he went through
Yeah, and the
too.
parallel with the woman that he slept with in the dream and the women that he didn't sleep with that were undead.
Mhm.
They all learned lessons too. They like messed up and then they learned from them type thing. I feel like I've been doing a horrible job trying to like relay what I've been trying to say this whole thing, and I don't know why.
Yeah, you should practice this. You should do some more of these.
Maybe if you read
I feel like I'm
faster, we could
nailing
get
it.
through more books.
That's insane. I've read more books than anybody else on this video call right now this year.
Good for you,
Well,
dog.
go ahead. Just go ahead and flex on us for trying to have a good time and hang out with me and read a book. I see nothing but red.
That's
That's
crazy.
my anger.
That's my rage.
Your rage is reflected in my shirt.
Yep.
I agree with what you said, and I liked how it was done. It was like really basic themes that were explored through really deep interpersonal situations.
Yeah, because you have like
it was a good
overcoming
contrast.
your own personal vices, but then it's like doing what you feel is right versus like, hey, and at least from like a Christian standpoint, like a theological right, like, hey, this might feel right to you, but not from, an angel or God standpoint type thing. And that's how
But yeah, like him killing
eventually
people that were
Tomas went to hell. So it's like, okay,
yeah, and that's I mean in and of itself, that's like a really good theme. That's a really good theme of like what is good enough by the standards of humanity, and good enough by the standards of humanity is not good enough because like human beings aren't perfect, right? So like there is no such thing as good enough when the standard is perfection. And so if you're looking at like, did you do good? Sure, you did a good job, but did you do good enough? No one does good enough.
wow. So I'm depressed now.
Thank you. Here to help. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay. Anyway, last category, rereadability and lasting impact. So lasting impact is self-explanatory. Did this book leave you with something, and do you feel good about with what it left you? It can also be a negative lasting impact. This book was so bad, like I'm gonna think about it all the time. Um, and rereadability, do you want like one, would you reread this book just face value? Would you reread it? But two, do you want more of this world? Like if there was an opportunity for a sequel, if you said yes and not if you said no, would you say yes type thing? Um, so like for this one, I felt like this book had a lasting impact. I loved the themes in this book. I loved the characters. It was so unlike something I have read recently or even at all that I really enjoyed it. Uh, would I want a sequel to this book? No. I think it ended perfectly. I don't think it needs more. I don't know if I would reread it because I got out of everything that I would need. So I would give it a half point there, but I don't think that's again a bad half point. I think it did what it needed to do.
Yeah, this is
That's
one
why
of
I
the
give it a half point.
categories that we often talk about as the most like unfair from an like objectively unfair because a book is not always like designed to be rereadable. So maybe in the future we'll rework this category. But right now would we read it again? And I don't think so. Like the same thing, right? Like it was a lasting impact. Like the book was really unique. The book was really different. Haven't read anything like it. So yes, but like, do I need to be in this world more? Or would I read this book again as like a comfort read? No, probably not. So that's the two parts of this point. One, half of the point, would you read it again? Half the point, did it leave you with an imprint?
And how does Jacob feel?
How does it
I
feel?
think I'm inherently biased because I'm more of a horror fan than you guys for sure. Like that's like
And
my
that's
cup of tea. I really
totally
enjoy
fair.
that.
Mhm.
I would 100% read this book again. I really enjoyed it, and this would be a comfy read for me because just I enjoy things like this. So I get that being kind of like almost a subjective point.
It
And
is.
obviously, like Curtis said, there's no room for a sequel. That story is done. Like there's nothing else to be done. But to piggyback off that, I would 100% read something else by this author that's like in a similar vein, like another type of like cosmic horror type book from him. 100% I'd read it because I enjoyed the first one so much. I think in that context, like, then yeah, I would like a sequel or another book from the author,
That's a good point.
which, so I
That's
would give
fair.
it a full point, but I don't, I love horror, anything spooky.
I'm not changing my rating, but I mean, if he wrote
That's
like,
fine.
if he wrote like, if he just picked up like something like this, like the Revolutionary War, and was like, here's how the Revolutionary War was actually like a spiritual warfare battle, I'd probably be interested in reading it.
It could be a cool like concept of like sequel, but not sequel of like doing something in Judea at the same time of what's happening in Normandy and seeing the parallel of like the Crusades plus the demons. I think that'd be kind of fun. I could see that being almost like a quote unquote sequel, and I would read that in a heartbeat
Yeah.
because there'd be that awesome like aspect of like the Crusaders and the Catholics being there, plus the Jews and the demons. I feel like that'd be a fun concept to explore.
Yeah, I was really thinking along the lines of he could adapt any like great human tragedy to
For
being
sure.
quasi supernatural, and I'd be like, I'm down to read that.
I agree. For sure.
Those were our categories. We have one more category that I don't think it got a point. This is like a yes or no. It's not like a 1 point, half point. I don't think I got a point for Curtis and I in this category, but if you want to give it one, you can. It's the absolute banger. Like this book, one of the best books I've ever read, greater than 10 out of 10, straight up fire, loved every moment. It's essentially like a PowerPoint. Like you can give it another point if you want. I don't think, like for us, it's typically only if we get like a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I don't. It's a great book. I don't know if it's 10 out of 10. You know what I mean? Like that's like that's a heavy thing to hand out.
It is. We've only
I'd give it
given
a
out
solid
like 2, I
8.5.
think.
What were the two you gave it out to, just for my own curiosity?
Bloodsworn trilogy was one of them. That's a Viking fantasy. You'd probably like that a lot.
Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I think we gave it 11 out of 10.
You'd probably like that one too. And that one's a pretty short, easy standalone read.
It's on the sci-fi end, but it's more real world sci-fi. There's not like any crazy tech. It's just it's a Apple TV show too. I haven't seen the show, but the book was so good. At the end, I still think about it where I'm like, I don't know what I would have done like if this were me.
The moral dilemmas that were presented were very, very crazy.
Based off all of our scores, I gave it an 8.5. Dakota gave it an 8.5. Jacob, you gave it a 9.25.
Sick.
Yeah, 8.75. Another category, it's just something we bring up is this RSQ recommended? And I think that this book is absolutely recommended. I would be bold enough to say by all three of us, I think we would recommend this to anybody that's
if you
looking
like
for something to read. I feel like you don't even have to be a fan really of the genre because I'm not that we're not fans. We don't typically read the genre. We read it. I'm like, this is great. I really enjoyed this book.
Yeah, it's not even that I'm not a fan of the genre. I need more horror that's like good. Maybe I just don't read enough horror that is good. But the couple of horrors that we've read so far, I've been like, that was mediocre.
I feel like horror is a hard genre to pull off well.
Yeah.
I read a lot of like internet horror stuff. Like there's a story on Reddit called Mother Horse Eyes. It's one of the best like horror thriller stories ever. And it's like all Reddit posts. And there's a weird thing where like published authors versus random schizophrenics on the internet. And like I feel like the random schizos write such good stuff that's almost hard to find something good that's published.
It's like a reflection of their brainstem.
Absolutely.
But
all right.
There you have it.
That's an 8.75 out of 10. We all recommend it. Thanks for being here, Jacob, and reading the book and talking about it with us. You're our first guest on a review.
I am? Oh, that's great. I have no credentials to help back you up, though.
You just barely beat out Jordy.
Sick.
Yep. So you get to wear that title. Dakota will 3D print you a little bit.
Is there a t-shirt that comes with this?
I'll order you one right
a little
now.
3D printed button or metal.
There you go.
I'll put it on my work lanyard.
Something you could like staple to a hat or something.
I'll take it.
It says RSQ on it.
Do you have any final thoughts or recommendations to our friends who are interested in maybe horror that is like one of your top favorite reads that is a accessible book and not a random ass Reddit post?
Damn, he just slung some shade.
You know what? That's fine. I guess everyone's eccentric. I get it. Curtis is is not an indie author lover either. This is kind of an indie hate page, apparently.
Oh my god.
all I can say is like if you have any interest in the genre, there's no like shame in going back to the basics and just like reading Call of Cthulhu. Like that's start off there, short, easy read. That's such a fun book to start with, and then you can just build off of that. Which I feel like everyone needs to read that one at least once because it's just like the progenitor of like modern horror books.
Maybe we can read that. Dakota and I read it. And we could do another review.
That's what I was going to say.
altogether.
Maybe this is the next feature, the next Jacob feature film.
Lovecraft was a notorious racist, so this will be like Dakota's time to shine. I prove that he's not a
Heck
racist.
yeah.
It's gonna be tough for him.
That's not how I thought that. That's not how I thought that sentence was going to end when you started it. But,
I didn't think so either.
then Curtis brought it back.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you very much. This has been fun. We gotta end it here. Go read this book, and if you don't, then don't tell us, but watch our video.
If you don't read this book, tell us in the comments that you're not going to read this book.
But you're already an hour and like 20 minutes in, so like you might
as well go read the book. You've clearly made bad life decisions somewhere along the line, so read this book. It's a good life decision.
You fell asleep 5 minutes in, and now you're at the end, and you woke up, and now we're here.
And Netflix
Anyway.
says, "Are you still there?"
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. I am Curtis.
And I'm Dakota.
And I guess I'm Jacob.
Anyway, thanks for watching. RSQ out.
RSQ out.